Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Using CMB Faucets with the TapCooler, explaining alpha and beta amylase, how long are hops good for, and shipping craft beer. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 287. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now call them in, leave a voicemail, get a $25 gift card to 325-305-6107. There it is on the screen. I am your host, Joshua Stubing. Today I am joined by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com, right down there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com with the unbutton. What do you do? What is this today? Is it the sultry Homebrew Happy Hour? Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, welcome to another episode. I like the look, Todd. You look very summer.
What do you... Oh, yeah, thanks. My Hawaiian-ish shirt.
So I'm going to make a joke at your expense real quick. I like that. Yeah. Well, first off, is that two buttons undone or just one from the top? It's just one. Okay. That's not the worst. Yesterday, your shirt, I don't know if you did it at work or if it busted and you came to work that way. It was like that.
You want two?
No, not. I got a censor. Yeah, I'm going to have to bleep that out with the pixelation. Yesterday, your shirt buttons were the opposite way because you blew a button out or something on the bottom. So we're upstairs doing recipes for Trub Club members, which, by the way, thank you guys. Both of y'all helped me tremendously yesterday. The corn came in like late in the day, and we were like, oh, crap, I got these because I was only up there for a week. Or for a day, pardon me. And like I said, the corn came in late. But yeah, I looked around and Todd, your belly button was saying hello to me because the bottom of the shirt, it was the opposite way. What we need to do now is get you a shirt where you just button that one right in the middle. So bottom's open and top's open. I think that's
there we go.
That's the new style. I like where we're going with that. Yeah, and the recipes are actually, today's Thursday, July the 7th. They're going out today, right? That's when they're able to make it into FedEx. Yep. Yeah, with the corn stuff and all.
I told them not to pack them all up until 1 to 2 because I wanted to make sure they put the ice pack in kind of right before FedEx picks up.
Right,
so it's pretty hot.
Yeah, it is so hot.
Super hot.
It's triple digits today, isn't it?
Yep.
All this week and all next week.
Which I guess I'll segue into. Was it triple digits on your trip to the Rio Grande Valley, Todd?
Very nice. So the South Padre Island, it was in the 80s, 90s. I mean, it never got that hot.
Wow.
It was real cool most of the time. I mean, when you're standing out on the sand, casting your line into the surf, it got a little hot, but then I would just get in the water. So
I made the mistake. I knew our offices were closed on Monday the 4th, but I was like, I'm going to catch up on some email. And I've been helping out with our help email. If you've been emailing for questions and like advice on products and stuff, and the answers have been short and not helpful, that was me. Sorry, but I don't sign my name on those ones, or I signed Todd's name. But I was trying to call Todd like, hey, I need help with this and and an hour goes by, 2 hours go by, many hours go by, and then he texts me and James and our group thread a picture of him surf fishing is what it's called, right? When you're just standing in there.
Yeah. So you cast from the shore. I actually wade in quite a ways, cast as far out as I can, and it's really it's my favorite kind of fishing. I love surf fishing.
And your message was like, "Sorry, didn't see your calls. Been doing this all day."
Well, I don't get cell service out there.
Yeah, on the beach. See, I don't believe you. They have cells. They have towers on the island, right?
Yeah, but I drive 15 miles down the 4-wheel drive beach.
Oh, so you weren't near anybody either. Oh,
I couldn't see a car on the 4th of July on the beach. I couldn't see a car in either direction where I parked.
So, you know what though? That's
cool.
That's how to do it, right? Yeah, that is how to do it. Because I bet you
there were a lot of people when I entered, though. Wow,
that's what I was just about to ask. Y'all went down there during 4th of July. That I know you didn't plan it. It was a memorial for a family member of your wife's. Yeah, I know you didn't plan it that way, but man, they couldn't have picked a different week to do the memorial.
Oh no, it's crazy. Although the fireworks were spectacular on the island.
They always are. Yeah. I missed that. I've been down there for 4th, and I think South Padre does fireworks every Friday still. They may not since COVID, but either way. So also, I wanted to bring up to make it related to the show for beer stuff so people don't leave a 1-star review immediately. They talked about the beach too long. Your red ale, you took down a delicious red ale that you brewed.
Really good.
But Todd, you told me you had some issues with cloudiness. Let's talk about that because it is relevant to what people write in about all the time.
So me and you both kind of tested 2 kegs, and we were both like, okay, this one's clear. We'll take this one.
Crystal clear.
So being the guy that doesn't know anything about kegging, I didn't think about the fact that the reason it was crystal clear is I'd sucked all the stuff off the bottom because I kind of rushed it and I didn't clarify it all the way. But once you put it in the keg, if it's cold enough, it'll clear up in the keg. But you got to remember, if you're transporting it and your dip tube doesn't go all the way to the bottom, which I didn't realize this one didn't, but obviously it didn't. There was a bunch of crap underneath the dip tube still. So when I transported it, it shook it all up. So when I got to my family event and started serving beer, it was cloudy beer, and which really got on my nerves.
I wish I was a fly on the wall, no pun intended, because I know
you would have enjoyed it.
Because it bothers us to no end, the 3 of us, that the beer probably tasted no different. It was probably delicious. People enjoyed it.
Good. It had enough crap in it to where I couldn't use my flow control event faucet. I had to take the center thing out, but the beer was so cold. It was just shooting out of there, and it wasn't foaming, and it really wasn't foaming up too bad because it was ice cold. You know, when you get beer ice cold, which is really kind of too cold to serve beer.
It is.
But when you're in an event like that and you've got to have it on ice, it's kind of hard not to serve it ice cold, right? So I wasn't having foaming issues because it was just so cold. It wasn't separating out very quickly. So.
I think also a secret, and correct me if I'm wrong or if this sounds like a dumb idea. You're at a family thing at the beach and it's cloudy. Just get red Solo cups and serve it in that. Don't give people the chance to
right.
Yeah, then they can't see it. That's what, when you're.
Well, I told him it was a red. It was a red. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the cloudy beer?
Hazy.
It's a red hazy. That's what I told him.
It's
a red hazy.
You invented a style.
Well, we're having a red hazy today.
And the secret to getting the style, shake up the keg. Do you think, you do your managing foam video, and I know this wasn't a foam issue per se, but were the factors that involved the moving around broke up the settlement stuff at the bottom, and the temperature change between, because what was it, an 8-hour drive? You didn't have it.
No, all it was just shaking the stuff on the bottom came out of solution. I mean, it got into solution. It had settled to the bottom. That's the reason the beer was clear. As soon as you move that around, you basically have to let it settle again, which could take, quite a long time. I think what I would do if I had it over again, I would have never kegged that beer like I did. What I would have done is take it from if I was in a hurry to get into that fermenter, I would have taken it into glass carboys and and put it in the fridge and let it settle out, and then gotten the beer out without any of the sediment on the bottom. Well, and that's what I would have done.
I don't remember if I asked you, how long did you let it sit before serving?
At the beach, you mean? Or at
between
the event?
Between transit and point of.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it wouldn't have. Okay.
It's going to take longer than a few hours for it to come out.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, that's what I was.
It's just like when you do a beer and you're clarifying it, you have to let it sit for a long time for everything to fall down.
Yeah, I just had high hopes because before you left, I was up there at the ranch when you were getting the beer ready.
Yeah, it was clear when we poured a beer.
Clear as day. It was great. Another funny story, real quick, James. As he was finding the beer to take, he was lifting up kegs to do his kind of like feel for. Oh, that feels like it's half full. This feels the Pilsner keg. He had some choice words for me.
I mean, he visits for a few days, and that Pilsner you gave me was almost empty.
No, it was not.
He doesn't. Josh doesn't. He's not like a normal person where. You've got 6 beers on tap, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to try this one. I'm going to try this one." He tries one. He goes, "I like that beer. That's all I'm drinking the rest of the time." I'm just going to float this keg.
I'm a simple man. What can I say?
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm a simple man. Absolutely. Which, speaking of good beer, James, my family loves. So 3 of the 4 taps were your beer at our 4th of July party.
Really?
We had maybe a half a keg of the alt beer. I'll say we had a third of a keg floated. That on that 4th of July party, your wheat Pilsner was very popular. That and the standard German pils that you sent with me were the most consumed. And I would say people's reactions were that they thought it was similar. Just the wheat one felt bodier, like a little bit more bodied to it.
And that's exactly the difference.
Right. And it is delicious. When if it was a blind taste test, I don't think most people would realize that that's what the wheat was accomplishing in it. You know what I mean? When you hear wheat, you almost think of like the Hefeweizen type of reaction, where I think Hefeweizen, the wheat and the malt, but also the specific yeast is what gives it that astringency and blah, blah, blah. Yours was it was very clear and bodied. It was interesting. I drank, as like Todd accused me of drinking all his Pilsner. I drank mostly Pilsner the whole day. And then Todd, we still have a ton of your Smash the Galaxy IPA, the one you brewed in January, because it finished at like 8.8% and people were too afraid to drink more than a 10-ounce pour. They're having one and they're like, "Oh, I got to drive home." So I'm going to have that keg probably for another 6 months. I guarantee it, because we were going through it slow. But yeah, our 4th of July went real good with beer and that. And then the last small talk part I have is, Todd and I yesterday while I was up there transferred all the experiment beer. And it's really interesting, James, for like the visuals of how different, even though the same recipe, just how different it looked based off of how it was fermenting. Like the Kvike that was on pressure was a certain shade of like juicy looking orange, if that makes sense, if you can picture that, where like the one that was in the garage without pressure and temperature control looked like a hazy IPA already. And then the one that was on pressure in the garage looked a little different shade of that. But the one that was in the closet was like already crystal clear in a different shade. Yeah. But what I'm most interested in tasting, which I think we'll be a week or 2 away from doing our tasting and then finishing up the video and our thoughts on it. The lager on pressure without temperature control that used the 3470, crystal clear. It looked delicious, right, Todd? When we were transferring it, isn't that the one? I think that one looked the most appetizing from transferring to secondary.
Yeah, I mean, it was very clear. I think they'll probably all settle out in the secondary, though.
No, I agree. And I messaged Jonathan, let him know, hey, we did this. And he was like, no, don't secondary. That adds time. I was like, no, trust me, Todd is doing a secondary. Well, mainly because we couldn't fit all those vessels.
Well, and a lot of them weren't clear at all.
No, they weren't. But also I mean, the main reason too is we couldn't fit that fermenter cane in the fridge to cold condition it. And we didn't have another glycol line for it. And we got all 4 carboys in his beer fridge, James. That one isn't that crazy? We were able to fit all 4 of them. So I think we're going to be tasting and trying some delicious beer soon.
I'm anxious to try the different styles. So
I told James in person, if that 3470 version comes out like good, if we like it, oh man, that might be a game changer. I might just be pumping that out for y'all in the summer because it was so.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, I know you are, because the recipe is your recipe, so straightforward, not a lot going on, and it finished quick. And under pressure, that in theory is going to prevent contamination, and it didn't. It's going to. I don't know. I'm becoming a believer, but the taste test will be the final thing that makes me the believer.
So note to both of you: next time we order stuff for Homebrew Happy Hour for the recipe kits or whatever, we need to get more 3470. Yeah, we're getting really low on it.
We do. And when James had a good idea too, our friends at Imperial, you heard the ad at the top of the show, friends, and we love them to death. James thought in the summer we get about between every other month and every month total, we have like 40 some odd people who get recipes, but we had going into the summer like 50 some odd. Like we lose usually between 10 and 15 people in the summer because like, I don't really brew as much, and keeping the liquid yeast, it does, so James was like, well, why don't we push the liquid yeast on people, but always offer a dry option as well. And so that's something we're going to pursue, because people want, we want you to keep brewing in the summer, but we don't want you to feel pressured to, well, God, I have to use this, this liquid one or whatever.
I think a lot of people don't brew in the summer just because it's so hot. If they're brewing with gas or whatever and they're outside, I mean, I would have a difficult time brewing outside. Well, I say that. I don't care. I mean, I would get up early in the morning and brew.
I'm going to say you'd mash in at 5 a.m. and he'd be done. He was trying on that brew day with Jonathan. I thought he was joking. He's like, yeah, we'll mash in around 6:30. And he comes, trying to get into the shower, and he's banging on the thing like, are you ready yet? Are you ready? I was like, I thought, rubbing my eyes. I thought you were kidding, man. Can I take a shower? Can we eat breakfast? He was pissed at 7:15 that we hadn't mashed in yet, because stop eating breakfast, we go to work. But anyway, so all that out of the way, the past couple weeks people are like, hey, you've been taking feedback, but it's not really feedback because it has questions on it too.
I know, and you did it again,
and I did it again. So with that being said, it's time.
I haven't actually read, but I read that one.
Oh no, you can keep talking in my bumper. What were you saying?
Well, I didn't know you were doing the bumper. No, I didn't read the whole sheet, but it just pulled up when we started the podcast, and I saw where the first one is like a comment, but it's really another question. So.
Yeah, so that's why we do have 4 questions, but first, part of Dan from New Jersey's is feedback. So with that being said, here's Dan from New Jersey.
Hey guys, this is Dan from New Jersey. This is a feedback and question, so I'll take a $50 gift card. But Todd, you got to take it easy on Josh. Every time I listen, you're going on a new trip, and who's there taking care of your plates? Josh. What would you do without him other than having a new website up and running? Just kidding. Love you, Josh. But my question is, I just got the TapCooler, and I do have X1 taps as well as a Perlick tap, which the TapCooler fits on. Just curious if I could use your X1 taps for the TapCooler as well with some sort of an adapter. And if not, the Perlick does not have flow control. So is that necessary though? Because the pressures should be equalized between the TapCooler and the keg being at like 1 or 2 PSI to fill it without foam. Really love your guys' podcast. Keep up the good work. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Dan. James, this is probably a question for you because I imagine you're the one who gets the questions. We've acknowledged on previous episodes we don't have experience with TapCooler.
I was going to say I have no
what
idea
is it? I don't even know what a TapCooler is.
It mounts onto the faucet for filling or bottles or growlers. But I mean, I think it's mainly for bottles. It's not a true counter pressure bottle filler. I don't think. I think it's in the same category as whatever.
Good. You have more experience than anyone, so you can answer the question.
I feel like deja vu. Y'all don't remember us ever bringing up TapCooler on the show? Oh man, maybe.
Yeah, probably so. But go ahead.
Well, I don't know what the restrictions are for the TapCooler with faucets. If it's a spout issue or what kind of functionality of the faucets required out of it. I know it's super popular with people who have inner tap faucets. Even though I believe, don't inner taps also make the nozzles that come off so that you can add like growler fillers on them directly? And but either way, what I took the question for was hoping, I thought James had gotten this before in phone calls, because I thought you'd help people retrofit CMB faucets to work. I'm losing my mind. I could have sworn people have called you before for an adapter or for a way to to make these fit with the TapCooler. But maybe what we need to do is order a TapCooler for Homebrew Happy Hour and do it and test it and do a video on it or something. Because every time I talk about the Blickman beer gun, which is, I love John and all the friends at Blickman, but it's legitimately one of my favorite products if I'm going to bottle from a keg. Every time I bring it up, people are like, Josh, I loved it too, but listen, you gotta get a TapCooler. It's life-changing. But then you go online, and it's like anything with home brewing. The forums are like, TapCooler sucks. Go back to a real counter-pressure bottle filler, or the beer gun's it. Or people are like, no, beer gun sucks. TapCooler's the only thing.
I mean, but the beer gun is not a counter-pressure bottle filler.
No, right.
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. It is a counter-pressure.
Oh, so it is TapCooler is a legitimate counter-pressure.
And it says in description, it's got a bleed-off screw on one side, and it's got O-rings, and it's a counter-pressure, so there's no need to have a flow control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the part of the question. I mean, I was hoping to answer all of it, but that's where I was going to ask, would flow control, as long as it has that, like you said, that valve, everything's equalized.
The TapCooler head, from what I'm looking at, it's got the adjustable pressure. So it's basically doing the same thing. So absolutely, you don't need flow control if you're using this.
If someone was using a flow control faucet with this on it, do you recommend they just have it wide open?
How would you put a faucet on it? I mean, the faucet, it looks to me like it's made to go on that one faucet.
Yeah, you're right. And it's got some different adapters too. If you notice, it's got a shank adapter, like a faucet head.
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
You can put a disconnect on it too.
You can put a disconnect.
Yeah, it's got a disconnect. So it's pretty versatile, but that one head, the O-rings, is designed, Todd's right. It looks like it's designed to fit a specific style of faucet.
We just did an order from one of our vendors. I wish I would have known this question to see if they carry it, and we could have thrown it on that order, because now we're going to have to pay more shipping and get one.
Pretty sure it's made by them.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. No way.
Or I think they're the ones that sell it.
They're the
it's more beer.
More flavor. More flavor is their parent company.
But more. I'm saying it's on. I see it on More Beer's site.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Well, then let's email them after the show and say like, hey, wait, you know what? We're supposed to get samples for other things too. Maybe he can throw one in there. And that's what you should do. Email our rep and say, hey, we're doing this and this, because he's sending us. Can I talk about what they're sending us, Todd? That we're going to try.
Sure.
We're dabbling, friends. We are dabbling in the world of duo-tight. We get so many questions as a retailer and as a podcast about duo-tight, which for us it's like, oh yeah, they're the old John Guest, but apparently they're not. They're different enough to where our rep is sending us a bunch of stuff. He was very excited to get us in that world, and we're going to test them out and probably start offering them on catconnection.com because
I don't think that's a good idea at all. But,
I know. The three of us don't use them, but we get every day, dude. I get so many questions about like, I'm trying to set this up and I'm using this duo tight on my shank, and I know it is what it is. But he's sending us also spunding valve stuff, because we did get in some pressure fermenters and with spunding valves and all that. We're 2022 has been a year of dabbling for us. It's like college. We've been
the whole learning about the pressure fermentation was really cool. So
wasn't that fun? Yeah.
We'll continue to try to do more of that. So
exactly, and it helped that Jonathan lives so close that he was able to come in person. But I'd love
a great guy.
Wasn't he fun?
I really enjoyed it.
Super fun. I'm going to cut all this stuff out of the show. I don't want him hearing us complimenting him, but
no.
But I would love to get more experts in certain facets of our industry to come to us in person and work with us and get content and knowledge. Because I learned a lot with Jonathan, and what I appreciated the most from him was his just like relax, don't worry attitude. Like, so we just throw this in the garage. Yeah. And then what? Yeah. Drink it when it's ready. What about transferring this to that? No, I don't do that. I mean, I'm maybe in the keg. He was just very lackadaisy and quick to want to crack open beers. I like that about him too. So anyways, Dan, thank you so much for submitting the feedback and the question. Guys, as always, I'm pleading with y'all, if you have experience with TapCooler and this or that, and you can help him, if you're using the CMB faucets with it, let us know in the comments below, or email your feedback, joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com, or preferentially call it as a voicemail so I can play it on a future episode to 325-305-6107. Get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Our second question, which I put as question 1 on the notes, I think it's Danny from Delaware, but it could be Denny. I'll let y'all decide on the voicemail here. It's another Dan, I think, but our second question comes from Danny from Delaware.
Hi, Josh and gang. It's Danny from Delaware. I don't like the sound of my voice like the recording said, but I really felt like I had a question and a little bit of compliment. So about a year ago, I was just moving in a house, and I had to rebuild my kegerator, and I was looking for a drip tray that happened to be out of stock, and I was just so impressed. Todd actually said that you're waiting on a shipment, but that he would take the one off his kegerator and send it to me. I ended up just going from 6 taps to 5 taps, but I was impressed with that. At the same time as I was building it, I was having a problem with one of my CMB faucets. It had cracked or something through my move, so I sent a message to James to see if I could purchase another one. Within like an hour, he had already sent me another one. And then a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, I guess now, I had a kegerator I used at the campground, and I went back and forth, and we were trying to do flow control on a kegerator inside the tower, and pretty much I put the order and said, see James, and he put it all together, and all I had to do was screw it on, and everything worked great. It was perfect. Love that customer service. If people don't buy stuff from Keg Connection, they need to start learning how real quick. My question, so I know I can look on Google for this, but Josh always talks about it, so I want Josh to answer this. So I do mostly through my mash and boil, but alpha and beta range, can you explain that a little bit for me? I'm not really into that, and where Josh always talks about it, and I know about this. I'm just curious if you could explain a little bit. Thanks again, and thanks for all the great customer service.
James, I'm going to turn my microphone off if you want to go ahead and do that as well.
He's a longtime listener that he gives y'all legitimate compliments and then throws me under the bus. But lucky for me, I go back on old episodes and I pay attention. So totally off the top of my head, audio listeners, don't even go to YouTube and look if I'm looking at notes or not. Don't even. But I want y'all to know the 2 main enzymes active during the mash are alpha and beta amylase. Alpha amylase is most active in the 154 to 167 range. It creates longer sugar chains that are less fermentable, resulting in a beer with more body. Beta amylase, however, is most active between 130 and 150. This is all Fahrenheit, by the way. I just want y'all to know. Because we're in America, and America's the best. And it trims off single maltose sugar units that are more fermentable, resulting in a more complete fermentation, a higher attenuation, you might say, and a cleaner beer, but a thinner body. Here's a more complete explanation real quick, guys. Both enzymes work to break longer sugar chains into smaller maltose units that yeast can ferment. Alpha amylase is very flexible, as it can break sugar chains up at almost any point, and is useful for creating the shorter chains for beta amylase to work on. But beta amylase, in contrast, breaks off single, highly fermentable maltose units of sugar and can only work from the ends of the sugar chain. As a result, beta amylase is better at creating single molecule maltose sugars that yeast loves, but it takes longer, as it works only from the ends of the molecule. The 2 enzymes work best when applied in combination, which is why we usually mash in the middle temperature range around 153. That was off the top of my head. That was
very good. Very good. I couldn't have answered it better myself.
Yeah, very well read. Very, very well done.
I learned it all from you, James. I just listen so much. I will say,
James is always talking about alpha and beta sugars and blah blah. And I'm always just like, I don't know. I go between 150 and 154 when I brew. Try to stay at 152, depending on the beer style.
Well, I was going to say where I do have caught on with James is if you're like telling us I want a bodied beer, that's what you know how to mash like that. You've always told me one of the benefits of all grain brewing is the control ultimately over like the body of it. Like you're like, if you want to mash just in that beta, okay, it's going to be kind of sweet probably and be full. Pardon me. So, it's be drier and bodied, right?
Oh no, it's think about it this way: the higher the temperature, you move over into the alpha range, which creates longer sugar chains. So the yeast eat the ends of the sugar chains, convert those into sugar, fermentable sugars, and leave the rest as body. So if you're doing a stout, you probably want to be in the alpha range. If you're doing a dry lager or a pilsner, you want to definitely be in the beta range. If you want the best of both worlds, Todd's absolutely correct. You can go anywhere between 151 and 153. That's the compromise on both, because Todd and I won't speak for Todd, but we both seem to like the drier beers. We tend to mash in the beta range a little more than the alpha. But you can do both. You can break it up in both.
What you're also saying is I just read off my cheat sheet and still got it wrong. Son of a gun.
That was good information.
Yeah, that was great information.
Yeah, Danny, in your face, throwing me under the bus. That was good, though. When I got the voicemail, I was like, I don't always talk. Oh, that's the joke. Because Todd does this crap to me all the time. But what's worse is when it is about like something I should know. Like, I should know this too off the top of my head, but it'll be a draft question. And Todd knows I could know the answer, but I freeze up like a deer in the headlights. And he'll, if we're like at a homebrew con, used to do it to me all the time. Someone had a question. Well, actually, my friend Josh here would like to help you with that. And they'd ask me, okay, Josh, what's the and I'd be like, yeah, it's terrible. Todd does it because he knows that it bothers me. And when you let Todd Burns know what bothers you, he exploits it for 14 plus years. So note to all of you, don't let Todd know what you don't like. James, you've been around long enough. You know that. There are things about you that you have not told Todd because he will exploit it. I know this because there's things about me, little things now, but that I will not tell Todd about.
The Roggen beer and
carbonation. Yeah, you have PTSD now from carbonation because Todd totally burned you on it. But yeah, so James, for people listening and to wrap up this question, you would say, is the alpha and beta the biggest factor of determining the end result of the build of the beer, or is it a combination of the malt, the grain, the literal grains, and the range you mash?
Yeah, you need to know especially if you were doing your own recipes, you really need to know the basics as far as recipe building in regards to beer. You have to have your base malt. You wouldn't want to try to mash 60L malt without having enough. The cool thing about it, going in and looking like all the malters, they'll give you descriptions of their malt and they'll tell you what percentage it's typically used in a recipe. Plus, you can go to the BJCP guideline book, and that will tell you kind of the simplest breakdown in regards to grains and hops, and also where that needs to be body and mouthfeel wise. So, bigger body, bigger mouthfeel, alpha. Less body, less mouthfeel, beta. It's that simple.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it. Most of the time recipes, I say most of the time, I've never seen a recipe sheet that did not have the recommended mash temp, right? Because when you're making a recipe and you want someone to get the end result that you intend for them, that's like a very key component to include, isn't it?
Well, it's because of what you're creating as far as mouthfeel sugars and fermentables. The alpha creates some unfermentable sugars that leaves a residual sweetness and body in. You might want that on a stout or a certain type of IPA, but you definitely wouldn't want it on a Pilsner.
Now, one last question, not trying to reach or drag it out, but does system efficiency also play a factor in this? Or like where I'm getting at is Todd, I know obviously the ABV is affected by his efficiency, but is body and mouthfeel affected by efficiency too? Or is it really a temperature?
I guess you could argue that it does, because it's going to create more of those sugars. The higher the efficiency, the more sugars can be created, or potential sugars from a given grain bill. So if the efficiency is low, then those sugar productions are lower. It's going to create low of what you're trying to do. But for the most part, it's creating those sugars, whether it's creating a lot of it or little of it. You're you're still going to have that if you're mashing in that range.
Right. Absolutely. I know. I was just because people, well, I guess at the end of the day, it's 2022. Plug your stuff into calculators, guys. Go to homebrewhappyhour.com. Go to our calculators, and you'll know exactly what to expect. And you can always tweak a calculator if you're trying to achieve something like James said. If you want a little bit more body on that alt, the calculator can help you achieve what you need to do to get there. Right.
Yeah, it's going to allow you, especially if you're using a really good calculator like Brewer's Friend. Not only does it have the tools in there that you can research and the calculators, but you can also, don't forget that when you do the brew day, you enter actual numbers in on that recipe. Because until you do that, it's speculating.
Oh, good point.
It's estimating numbers. So when there's a little tab on that page when it says brew it, that will give you the opportunity to go in and type in what your actual starting gravity was, your actual final gravity is, and it'll calculate the efficiency on that brew with that recipe, which is a really cool tool.
It is. Yeah. So
I don't think I've ever done that before.
Are you
under brew it, you can change even if you can actually change what
it will calculate
what's your starting gravity. Well, I didn't realize you could do that. I'll be damned.
Yeah,
we all learn something every day.
yeah, and that's a good tool for. And this would be a good question for Lorena. Does it do a continued efficiency on your brew house?
That's a good question.
As you enter those in when you do a brew,
right?
I'm with Todd. Most of the time, I don't do that, but when I first got Brewer's Friend, I moved from another brewing software. I started doing that and noticed those numbers were tweaked because it's going off. It's more. The program's more interested in my opinion, of your results and producing those and keeping a record of what you did and how I did.
Right. Yeah, what Todd does, you don't do that in a brew day, Todd, but you do take 5 million readings. So you know,
his red beer was out,
and you actually just got a new.
Shocked at how good it was.
It was incredible, right? Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was. He's a.
It was even good, really cloudy.
Oh, I believe that.
I'm telling you, he's a scientist when it comes to brewing.
I agree. And he just got a new lab tool at the recommendation of our buddy Jonathan, the Easy
Yeah,
Bends.
I can't figure out how to get it to calibrate yet, but
you know, it up and show it to
I
me.
love it. Let me grab it.
He took it to the office. Good. He took his headphones off. Let's talk bad about him. He's running over.
Well, that was a good question.
You know, it's really, really nice, but I have to tell you, their support page and information is terrible. So I'm going to try to call them or something, because they have a support page that's no longer supported. But basically, you there's a syringe and you put it on here, and then there's an out tube. You put it in there. You turn the thing on. It cycles through there, and on your phone, if you have a phone that works.
He's saying that he broke his phone this morning.
It will tell you what the gravity is exactly. And we used it with Jonathan. I was so impressed. I bought one the next day.
Yeah, you had been drinking a little, but you did wait a full day to make the purchase. That's what I respected. You had me build up a big cart of stuff, and then you were like, I'll order it. Don't worry about it. And the next day at the office, I was like, did you order that stuff? He goes, no, because I was drinking. Let's look at the cart and talk about it. I'm like, dang, that's some discipline. Like, I buy stuff all the time on Amazon, and it arrives. My wife's like, when did you get that?
Yeah, this thing was not cheap, but God, I used it yesterday, dude.
It's so cool.
I mean, to be able to. So I was taking I like to take readings, in case y'all didn't know, and in my fermenter, I would take a reading and use that really good hydrometer. Hell, I'd use a glass of beer trying to get
every reading.
Mm-hmm. With this thing, you use not even a half an ounce of beer, and you get a very precise reading.
I mean, the syringe only goes up to 5 milliliters, right?
10 milliliters.
Oh, 10. Yeah. Okay, and so you're doing full 10. That's nothing.
No, I'm not. I'm doing. I mean, I did it a few times yesterday. You can do it with 2 or 3 milliliters.
That's incredible. Yeah,
wow.
But also I just like
impressive.
I like the technology behind it. Like it's not a lot going on the interface for the app, but it just looks cool. And like Todd said, Todd at first was a skeptic. He was like, "Well, you tell me what it says on yours, Jonathan, and I'll tell you what my calibrated lab hydrometer says." And they were right on. It was spot on. And Todd immediately goes, "Put it in the cart."
It was a little annoying.
He doesn't try. James will attest to this. Todd will spend the money on making like the brow tag a great system with probes and stuff we can trust, and James calibrates every system, but every time Todd brews it, he has his handheld lab calibrated thermometer. I don't trust that. I don't trust those numbers up there. I have to run it again every brew day. But again, like you said, James, maybe that's why his beer turns out the best. But
yeah.
But every brew day, I'm like, no, just trust the numbers. Like, that's your problem, Josh. You millennials, y'all just trust the computer. I'm like, yeah, because that's what James calibrated it. Why wouldn't it be? Now that's an insult to James because you don't trust his calibration. But anyways, I totally digressed off that. Here, let me show you, Danny, the notes I wrote on my cheat sheet so that I could answer your question. There's a whole, I had to keep scrolling and scrolling. But anyways, thank you so much for submitting that question. Again, guys, when you leave a voicemail, 2325-305-6107, you get a $25 gift card to ketconnection.com. Text messages and email submissions still get $15, which I think is pretty darn good. Our next one was a text message from our buddy Ryan using the hotline at 325-305-6107. Ryan wrote, how long do hops last? Months? Years? How should I store my hops? Cheers. Hey, that was kind of a haiku and rhymed. Sorry. Hops. Guys, this we have from our old days of being a supply shop of ingredients. You go upstairs and there are bags of hops that are like not the most traditionally used ones. So they've just been sitting up there. And one of them, James, I don't know if you remember, was a 2017 batch of Pearl, I think. And I was like,
it's a 10 or 20 kilo.
It's so many. And I was like, James, what can we brew with this? And you're like, dude, it's from 2017.
Nothing.
Yeah. That's what, so
why don't y'all throw it away?
Look, when I start throwing stuff away is when you start asking about it. I will. Going upstairs.
We should open it and smell it, and if it smells good, maybe we could use it for a aroma hop or something.
See, so Todd's kind of jumping the gun. I'm going to throw it to James first, though, because what is there a magic number of shelf life?
I think it all depends on how it's been stored and packaged. Yeah. A lot of the hop companies, they'll package it. They'll use nitrogen. To purge the bag, when they're sealing
and
it
then
up.
Vacuum it, right? Yeah.
They'll purge it with nitrogen and vacuum seal it. We don't purge with Well, when we had the homebrew store, we were just purging the air out
and vacuum sealing
in something that has a barrier for oxygen. And Todd was really good about buying the correct hop Mylar bag so it wouldn't get oxidized. If they're stored that way and we get them from the hop manufacturer, Todd, I don't know about you, but 1-2 years, I would be afraid to use those.
Oh yeah, definitely a couple of years. And I think if you freeze them, they'll last longer. Well, I don't know why we haven't frozen some of that stuff. We probably should have, or maybe we still should. I think at this point, if we froze it, I think that gives it a couple more years. So.
I knew that it must not be like that bag of Pearl. I knew it must not be worth using because James is always trying to find a way to make use of stuff.
Well, Jonathan was just like, no way.
Well, Jonathan too. I told him the story. I go, Jonathan, James won't let me. What do you think? He's like, dude, or what's wrong with you? Like, I think he said that verbatim. Like, what's wrong with you? It's 2017. It was on a shelf that whole time. I was like, I don't know when we bought it, dude. It probably was 2017. I'm
gonna brew a beer with it. I'm gonna call it the
Josh's cardboard ale.
Todd's cheap ass lager or something.
Hey, if this pseudo lager like quick turnaround thing, let's just pump it out. We'll just make a bunch of Pearl pills and cardboard Pearl. Or no, what is the characteristic of a hop gone bad?
I think that it just loses potency is what happens. Okay. I don't think it necessarily would give you an off taste. I just don't think you would have the bitter and especially the aroma and the flavor and all of that is what you're going to lose.
So to help Ryan out, James, let's say you're buying bulk. You're an all grain brewer now, and your supply shop gives you great deals. You're buying bulk. Are you throwing hops in the freezer that you're not going to use immediately?
I still have hops Clay gave me when he moved from Comanche to Fort Worth in the freezer.
And you'd have no qualms of using those.
I'll probably use them if they're frozen. They're sealed, unopened, and they've stayed frozen.
I'm going to do a 17 and a half gallon batch of Pilsner and use that Pearl. I'm just going to pour the whole bag in there.
Please, that would be. Let's do it on a live stream.
No, that would be more hops than grain.
I think what?
Oh yeah, you think it lost potency, huh? Try this beer.
I'm not kidding. I want to
about a hop bomb.
I want to do that now, Todd. I really do. That would be great. Don't do that big of a batch, but do close so we could throw it in pressure ferment it there at the office. Yes, yeah, because we can't lie.
Well, I got a better idea. We go 100% wheat, and instead of using rice hulls, we use pearl hops.
Yeah, we use it instead of rice hulls. I like.
Oh my gosh, y'all are joking, and I love it though because this is a great idea. We have to. So let me digress a little bit. Well, I learned.
Well, how could you possibly digress any more than we already have?
Oh, you're right. Let me digress off of our digression. We discovered recently with Jonathan when he was up there, Starlink is not the most stable upload, and I can't live stream from the ranch anymore. It's a bummer, but it is what it is. So we're gonna have to start doing our brew day lives at the office, which isn't the biggest deal because the office internet is phenomenal. I don't know what y'all pay for it. It has to be a lot because it is fantastic. It is super fast. We get crystal clear image and all that. So we need to do a Pearl Pilsner brew day with your idea. I would love it. And throw it in one of those new.
That Pearl package has never been opened. It'd be interesting to see what it smells like when we open it.
That's what I'm saying.
If we're going to throw it in the dumpster anyway, let's open it and see what it smells like.
No.
Well, it is kind of puffed up like a pillow. So.
It did.
Yeah.
It does look cozy like a pillow. I remember I grabbed it thinking I had found some treasure, and I was like, guys, look, we can use this. And James was like, put it down, you idiot. Put it down. I could not believe that we actually.
How many times have you heard that before?
Oh, put it down.
Put it down, you idiot.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't want
Did your dad ever say that?
Yeah, I was
going to
say I'm having a PTSD flashback. Anyways, Ryan, thank you so much for submitting the question again. To cover the basis of that, James is confident if you're freezing it, a year or two is not out of the question of using it. Like it, especially if it was from the manufacturer, it's vacuum sealed and all that, not just a bag that you opened, didn't use it all. And put
I
it
think
in.
the number for freezing is 5 years.
Dang, are you just making that up?
4 or 5 years.
Okay.
If you froze, but you got to realize that assumes that you bought it and you froze it. I mean, if you kept it for 2 years unair conditioned and then froze it, it's not like it's going to magically make it come back to life.
No. What was lost was lost. Yeah, you're not getting that that potency back. But anyways, thank you so much, Ryan. Our last question for the week is a voicemail from our buddy Jason from North Carolina.
Hey guys, this is Jason from North Carolina. And I was just recently listening to your podcast talking about Old Mecklenburg Brewery, and it's out here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And given that I live about 45 minutes outside of Charlotte, I figured I could get my hands on some of this and see about sending it out to you. I did contact Joshua, and he certainly was interested in it. But then it brought up the next question that I had, and that is, how do you recommend sending beer? And first off, do you have a preferred carrier that you would use? And then secondly, do you package it more to just make sure that it doesn't break during transport, or are you trying to package things up to try to keep them cool during shipping? I know that beer sits on shelves and stores and can be at room temperature, but I fear it's sitting in the back of a hot, FedEx truck for a couple of days and worry about what that might do to the beer. Didn't know if that's going to damage it in any way or produce any kind of off flavors. So didn't know if in shipping it you package it in any kind of styrofoam. Do you use ice packs, or do you not worry about any of that? And then also with that question, if you are worried about heat, do you refrain from doing any kind of shipping during the summer months when it's so deadly hot out there, or does it matter? Do you package it up and send it on in and it's fine no matter when it's shipped out? So enjoy the show. Look forward to hearing what your answer is to this, so I can get some of this OMB copper sent out to you guys, and you can enjoy some of this North Carolina beer out there in Texas. Take care.
So but I got busted. I gave him my address. I didn't know he was there calling. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So I want to make sure this is clear to everybody. We'd really appreciate it when you send us beer. Our address is in Comanche. It is not in San Marcos. Okay. So don't ever send, if you are told to send beer to an address in San Marcos, that is fraud. Fraud.
And
you need to contact T Burns at kegconnection.com and let him know about it.
So that the legal arm of Keg Connection LLC can strike down and stop this fraud. Also, though, let us also clarify that we are not lawyers, and I would say do your own homework before you ship beer, because I don't know the legality of shipping.
I can pretty much tell you. I know it's against the rules for FedEx for people to send individual beer. I think it's against the rule in UPS and USPS. So, I mean, we would never condone or suggest that you send beer
as you gave them
on
your address.
One of these carriers. Although I've sent FedEx. I've used FedEx.
I was going to say,
I've never had any issues.
Well, and also, so we've kind of taken this question before, where people then replied to me like, "Yeah, but y'all have a pickup for FedEx and UPS and that's different." And I told them, "No, I've in San Marcos, or I was in Kyle at the time. I packed them up bottles." I took them to a FedEx store there. I called it live yeast samples, and I shipped it off that way. and it worked out fine. So it wasn't just a pickup from a person we know. I used FedEx. That's the only ones I used. And I mainly did it because they were the most affordable when I did quotes of getting this out somewhere. But let me start off by telling Jason, thank you for reaching out. I've had Jason and our buddy Kenny, the brewer of Seville, he's sending us, I think, a 4-pack of it as well.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to have some good alt beer, because it's been a long time since James and I have had it. And Todd, I don't remember if you tried it, because you weren't flying with us on that trip. So I don't know if you've had Old Mecklenburg Copper.
No.
Yeah, so you're going to like it. I think you're going to like it. It was as good a representation of alt in the States as you can get from our anecdotal experience. Whoever's out there going, no, this other one's better, send it to us.
And listen, you may be right, and we'll be happy to try other ones.
If you want to assume the risk of shipping. But so let me rewind. How do you prefer to ship it? I will say we had a buddy, I forget his name, but he runs craftyshipping.com. If you're doing bottles especially, I think there's still some in my office up there, guys, but remember those? He made them specifically for bottles. They look like egg carton things, but they're fitted for bottles specifically. Those things work like a charm. They ship out. They keep the beer bottle very protected, insulated from shaking and potentially cracking while they're in transit. And they fit easy. You can stack them if you're sending a bunch in a big box. I would say it's worth going to craftyshipping.com and looking at ordering some of those. If you have the budget. For now, Jason, I'm not saying don't ship them unless you're doing it this way, because you can also just get away with bubble wrapping the crap out of them, right, James?
Yeah, because when I entered into the National Homebrewers competition, I used bubble wrap. And I just remember one thing that helps if you're shipping is bubble wrap the crap out of the bottle, pack it in a box, and then pack that box in another box. So it has a double insulation, and then it should be fine. And then put some Fragile or Right Fragile on it.
That's a great idea. Right. Yeah, for the fragile part especially. I've never considered that. But, because I always worry. I watch too much TV. I always worry if I put fragile, then FedEx or UPS is going to be like, oh, okay. Like they're going to go to town. Because, don't tell me what to do. And maybe that's me projecting. Maybe I would do that. But, Todd, what did you go find? I saw you get up from were you going to look for one of the shippers?
No. I just, there's something personal.
Oh, you had to fart. You didn't want the microphone to pick it up?
I had to ask Lana a question real quick.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, he's getting a new truck today. So.
Oh, that's right. Your truck came in. No, let me finish this question.
He's been very patient. He's been waiting forever for this thing.
He has been. It's been 7 months since you ordered it?
Or 9 months.
No, but who's counting? with the summer months, Jason brings up a great point. We've had Trub Club kits go out in really cold months where we didn't have to use ice packs because it was going to be that cold on a truck. Would you say even if it's shelf room temperature beer that wasn't chilled, at the store, would you still in these summer months throw an ice pack in the packaging, or would you not worry about it getting up to?
I wouldn't. If it's commercially packaged, that means it's been purged with CO2 or nitrogen and filled. It's safe. I wouldn't mess with the cold pack or anything like. It's just going to cause it to sweat. Could compromise the packaging anyway. So
I just
ship it.
When I've gone out of the town before, like when we were in Portland and I shipped beer, I just packed the boxes as tightly as I could with beer. I don't even know if I put any packaging in there. It was just I had it so tight. So it's either going to make it or it's not.
Was it ambient temp beer already, Todd, or was it cold beer that you then threw in boxes to ship back?
I don't remember.
Oh, I'm just saying, well, would that change the way you do it, guys? If you did, like, the only way I could get Frew right now at my local liquor store is cold. And let's say I was going to ship that. Then you would say, oh, crap, maybe wait till after summer or throw a couple ice packs in there.
I wouldn't mess
you
with
wouldn't
the ice packs.
So you wouldn't worry about it at all?
No.
I like that. Just relax, send it. Because I understand
if
Jason's
cold,
concern. Yeah.
I would probably try to put it in a Ziploc bag or something, just so the sweat doesn't permeate into the box.
So your bigger concern would be the messing up, like the potential damaging of the packaging from the sweat, the condensation, versus whatever the heat might do to the beer. Because the heat itself is not, in theory, going to bring out some kind of off flavors or something, right? It's not. I mean, that's
well.
not.
And I'll give you a good example. Andy, our friend from Germany, he's a brewer. He sent me 4 beers, and he packed them cold. And 2 of the 4. The package was soggy because my mailman, he's a buddy of mine. I'm Andrew. I've known him I think, Todd, you met him. He called me and he said, I got a soggy beer smelling package from Germany. And,
Oops.
Either 2 cans. And I guess he'd packed them ice cold because it sweated or condensed enough when it warmed up that it turned the box soggy. And it caused one of them. Maybe they shifted around. I don't know, but there were complete cans. 2 cans had pinholes in it, leaked all the beer out, and they still delivered it, which was shocking.
That is shocking because we've had beer confiscated before from Germany.
Juction and Schlussel.
Mine Schlussel got, I was so pissed because James, you were like, dude, I bought Schlussel for all of us. You're going to have a mini keg, or it was mini keg. No, it was bottles.
Actually, Stefan bought it. He bought the mini kegs of Schlussel and Fuchsion.
Yeah. And they're like,
Verboten.
I was so angry. I could not. But I thought at first y'all were punking me. Like, are they just receiving it all and they don't want to share? And they're like, oh, I gotta. No, the customs.
Oh, really was good beer, wasn't it?
Yeah, you jerk. At Homebrew, when y'all managed to sneak one over at Homebrew Con a few years ago, remember? Or the first one was online. We opened it up, and I may have had more than my fair share, and I apologize for that. But gosh, I want to digress off of this question. Schlussel. That is, I wish we had some left just to compare it to Old Mecklenburg, because Schlussel is the quintessential Dusseldorf alt that I compare stuff to. I like all the other ones too. I like. I'm just saying, it's my favorite to compare it to because it's in the middle. It's not too sweet. It's not too dry. It's in the middle. It's a balanced alt beer. I'm saying some of them are drier than others. Some of them are sweeter, maltier than others. But
what's the one that Todd's? It's a whole lot to me more.
Schumacher. He likes Schumacher, don't you, Todd?
Oh yeah.
Schumacher, I like their glassware. It's actually the Brautag logo behind Todd's head there. I ripped off Schumacher. And Goulash does the same kind of design as well.
See, I was thinking, is Schumacher the one with the old man and old lady on the bench?
Yes, that was Schumacher's. Yep. Where you go inside and they're sitting on the bench, and we all have photos with them. I think Todd has one photo of him groping the old man on the bench. I don't remember, or that might have been my photo. I don't remember who took the photo groping the statue of the old man.
I thought it was groping the lady.
Hey, how dare you? I was trying to make this to not be a 1-star review type show. But Anyway, we do, but
I don't think groping's the right word. I don't think that what I was doing was groping. I was putting my arm around them.
Yeah,
I was
in a happy.
we were in solidarity. That's not groping. I mean, why do you have to make everything so nasty, Josh?
I'm so sorry. My inbox, ever since you introduced us to that sandal company, every other email is, "I love titties too." Oh, it's my inbox has been great lately. But anyway, Jason, if you're shipping beer, I think the most important thing is the safety of the packaging. If you're shipping it cold, like James said, what a great idea to put it in plastic bags or something to prevent the box itself from getting damaged, because that will probably keep it from getting all the way to us. James got his delivered because he's cool with the guy, and that guy was nice enough to deliver it. The average mail person is going to be like, screw this, it's trash, and just tell us it couldn't get delivered. But that's a great idea. I never thought of. If it's shipping cold, make sure it is isolated from being able to damage your stuff. But also, more importantly, like James said too, keeping the bottles secure in the packaging will prevent the bottles from breaking. And that's the priority. Temperature is not your priority, right, James? I mean, it's not your focus, just the safety of the packaging.
Yeah, the packaging is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Todd is like off and on. I'm going to wrap up the show. Jason, thank you so much for submitting that question. Guys, that's all I have for us this week. I appreciate y'all's time. Todd, go get your car. I know it's time to go.
Wait, I'm waiting for my wife.
Oh, well, you were like, man, you look the most impatient I've ever seen. Get my headphones off. I thought you were just
I keep thinking I hear my wife out there. My wife takes precedent over everything.
Oh, absolutely. Does she listen to the show?
No.
Oh, wow. You're just being nice.
Why would she listen to you and me droning on? She gets plenty of that already.
She does get plenty of that when I'm up there. Her eyes rolling. I can see it. Anyways, guys, thank y'all so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to y'all next week.
All right, bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now leave us a voicemail and be Todd's best friend to 325-305-6107. Hey, get a free pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join our Chop Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.